school, you will you will leapfrog yourself towards success for sure. So it's your life, make your own rules. Right? I will kick a little dirt at social media at times because everybody is looking at a highlight reel that everyone else is putting out there. We all know that, but yet somehow it still kind of does influence our thought patterns. I have a friend that owns a private jet company, and he had to hire a security team to be on site at all times because there were people jumping the fences to stand in front of one of the jets to take pictures. They're not passengers, they're not owners, they have no business being there, but they're doing it for the gram and posing on the steps of a private jet to pretend like, this is me. Me and my boys went to Vegas for the weekend. No, you didn't. You were working your job at Burger King. But that's the persona that people want to portray. So if you can stay out of the mindset of buying stuff that you don't need and having to work a job to pay for all that stuff, you'll be so much better off. Again, the looks on your faces was totally different than the crew at ASU when I was talking about that. So I think you guys are, again, when you pick a school like this and a program like this, you're more realistic already. So I think you guys are off to a good start. So first P of the 4 Ps, you want to construct a life that is living on your standards, right? Forget what everybody else wants. Forget what social media shows you is the standard. You need to figure out what you want to do, who you want to be. You get to make your own rules. Ignore the masses. What everybody else is doing is just following the herd. Do your own thing. You don't need to follow along and to do all that stuff. Again, we all kind of know that the social media stuff is a highlight reel at best. Some of it's a flat out lie. Don't believe the hype. Figure out your own plan and do your own thing. If you want to be unique, do the opposite of what most people do. When I was looking for pictures, I loved this one because you've got all of these people who are doing a unique vacation photo, and they're all lined up in the same photo. There's nothing unique about that. They're all in the same place taking the same picture. So your rules of what you find are cool and make you happy don't have to include stuff like this that you can slap on social media and impress everybody. So the world is built around this idea, capitalizing on your insecurities. Social media isn't necessarily, I think it's shining a light on that, but I think in a lot of ways we've always been that way as a society. It's just kind of made it so much easier. It's so much more accessible. It's just in your face all the time. So doing it for the gram, you should drop that from your vocabulary as quickly as you can. So this is actually a client of mine. Talk about capitalizing on your insecurities. You can rent rims and tires to put on your car. Rent them 30 days at a time. You're going to roll up to a party with better rims and tires on to look cool in front of your friends, and then 29 days later, you're going to go take them off and turn them back into the tire shop. That's ridiculous. They're a nationwide chain. They're one of my larger clients. If that isn't the perfect illustration of capitalizing on insecurities of your appearance to people you don't even know, right? You want to drive down the street in a car like that and roll up in a stoplight and have people look over and go, yeah, nice. Who cares? Why would you care what that guy in the car next to you thinks? But that is the starter kit to a bad path that, again, financing your insecurities, right? So the full-blown idiot kit is this. Hopefully this isn't too personal for any of you. I had 7 people in the ASU talk. I did go, I have a red BMW. Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to make this so personal. But if you'll notice, the 0 is the biggest thing on there, right? 0 maintenance. I can drive a $34,000 car for $199 a month, 2-year lease. That sounds great. I'm graduated from school, I got a job, I'm making money. Sounds like a great thing to do. I'm going to upgrade my lifestyle. Here's the problem. 2-year lease, your friends are going to get used to the idea that you drive a BMW after about 30 days. So the novelty of that's going to wear off like that. Now you've got 23 more months of payments, but if you amortize out the down payment of $4,000 into your monthly payment of $200, and you add in insurance because it's a brand new car, gas, everything else that goes along with it. This is about a $600 a month endeavor. So it starts out really cheap, but by the time you sign the paperwork, you have committed yourself to a big chunk of money. Again, a car is a means of transport to get you from one place to another. If you're driving something now that's, who knows, 8, 10 years old, drive it for a few more years. Wait till you can pay cash for something like that. Because after 2 years, you're gonna turn that car back in, you're gonna have no money, you're gonna start over. You're gonna have to sign a new lease program, commit yourself to more money down, to more monthly payments, all of that kind of stuff. So if you're not careful, you're gonna end up being this guy. You're gonna move to Scottsdale, you're gonna walk around in a wife beater t-shirt with spiky hair, pretending that you own a tequila company, sitting on somebody else, the hood of your leased BMW. That's the last thing you want, right? That's the definition. And when I Google search $40,000 millionaire, that picture came up. It also comes up under Scottsdale douchebag if you need it for something. So the dirty.com has a ton of pictures like that. I live, ASU is 2 miles south of one of the country's biggest pockets of $40,000 millionaires. It's all about the show, the gold chains and the BMW and all that stuff. That guy probably works at a FedEx store somewhere in town, and he's posing like that every weekend. So what are the alternatives? If you, instead of racking up credit cards trying to live this lifestyle, maybe there's another way. Ladies, it's not just you. We're guilty of it too. But when I typed in the word gold digger, that was the picture that came up first. So I like that one. Guy wins $181 million and finds the love of his life 2 days later. Coincidence, yeah. So again, hindsight's 20/20. I'm closing in on 50 myself. So I'm looking back at a lot of the things that I did, realizing that I fell into the traps that I'm telling you guys about, just like lots of other people, right? I want you to be aware of this so that you're likely to skip over it and get to the smart part like I'm trying to figure out now. I was listening, how many of you listened to Joe Rogan? Cool, so on the way up I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast and he said something that was perfect that I thought it just encapsulates how I feel at this point in my life. He said, I feel like I'm learning to dance and the party's almost over. Like I'm 50 years old, I'll be 50 shortly. I'm just now starting to figure this stuff out, right? If you guys can have some idea of what a shit show, I shouldn't say that in front of you, what a crap show some of this stuff is, and can leapfrog over it or avoid it altogether, you're gonna be so much better off. I have been in recovery mode for a bunch of my life, trying to fix some of the problems that I caused for myself in and around money. So the best thing that you could possibly do for yourself is to get out of debt as fast as possible. Part of that is not adding to the debt of leasing a brand new car, buying a house or moving into a really cool apartment, and literally having all of the money that you make each month in your new job already allocated out. You're already spending everything. You're back to being broke, you're just doing it at a higher level. So one day it's gonna hit you, none of this flexing and all this other stuff matters, right? At some point, maybe on your deathbed, maybe when you're my age, if you're lucky, it'll be right now, you'll start to realize none of this crap matters, right? I need to do my thing, and I wanna play the long game. I'm not looking to look cool now, I'm trying to set myself up for a life of success and happiness from this point forward. And by not buying stuff I don't need, not living beyond my means, paying off debt as soon as possible, not digging the hole any deeper as far as debt goes, you'll be way, way better off. My grandfather was a CPA. We never had any discussions about money. I don't know why. It would have been great to have had some of this knowledge ahead of time. I wouldn't be in recovery mode from some of the things I did over the course of my life if I knew how to handle money better. I asked my mom why we never talked about that stuff. She said, I don't know, he was always busy working, I guess. You're not taught this stuff in school for the most part, not personal finance anyway. So these are things that you have to learn on your own and break the cycle now to set yourself up for a life of happiness. One of the things that people fight about most in relationships and marriage is money. So if you can take that out of the equation, you'd be way better off. All right, so this will be the toughest of the 4 P's for you guys. Patience, right? You're not exactly living in a time where patience is a huge virtue. If you need a new set of headphones, order something on Amazon, sometimes you have it in 2 hours. If you're hungry, dial up get in your Jimmy John's app, a guy on a phone, a guy on a bike rides up and hands you a sandwich. It's about as easy as it gets, right? The problem is, that's sprint mentality. You guys need to be running a marathon. You want to set things up for yourself to be looking to play the long game and not trying to do something immediately to look like you're successful. The car, the house, all of that stuff, right? So, I don't have a map to hand you that says, here's where you need to go in your life. This is very individualized. But if you're at least cognizant of the concepts of planning for the future, getting out of debt, pacing yourself, so to speak, for the long haul, you'll be way better off. Because I talk to an awful lot of people who just don't see the world that way. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's an awful lot of people who have already laid out the groundwork for that to happen. So keep this in mind. It's not, this is, I might as well have this tattooed on my arm. You get what you work for, not what you wish for, right? As a former competitive racquetball player myself, I wasn't going to just show up and stand on the court for long enough to be really good. I had to put in the work. I spent a lot of time honing my craft at my job to be able to pitch to companies like General Mills and Goodyear Tire and Rubber and Liberty Mutual to walk into a corporate boardroom and get 6 people that I've never met before to feel comfortable with me and pick my company over everybody else. That kind of stuff takes work. Wishing for the jet and the Austin Martin and all of that stuff doesn't mean you're going to manifest it. You got to work for that stuff. But again, you have to be able to visualize what your version of success and happiness is and work towards that. Don't just go with what everybody thinks you should be shooting for. So there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. That is a quote from a guy named Zig Ziglar, who is considered to be the father of public speaking. I think that rings very true, right? If you have to do the work of climbing the stairs, even if you come from a very wealthy family and you have some things handed to you, there's still an awful lot of work to be done for you to be a successful person in and of yourself. So back to the idea of not digging the hole any deeper, one of the things that you want to avoid is leakage, right? Not this kind of leakage. This kind of leakage. You want to not finance your insecurities. You don't want to poke holes in the bucket and have stuff that you don't need draining money out of your overall plan. Remember, you're running a marathon. You're going to need all the water you can get. If you're leaking money every month from lease payments and student loan debt and credit card debt and all that kind of stuff, you are handicapping yourself getting to the point of what I would consider ultimate happiness and freedom, which is to be at least close to debt-free, if not completely debt-free. What money really buys you is the opportunity to avoid the things you don't want to do. That's it. If you can have enough money that you don't have to go to work today, or you can take a 2-week vacation, or you can decide to travel for the next 3 months and close up the house and have somebody come in and water the plants once in a while. It doesn't take $1 million to do it. If you don't have money going out because you don't have a ton of debt, you can live a fantastic lifestyle on 40 grand a year. I'm talking world travel, doing whatever you want to do, because you've eliminated all the things that are leaking money out of the bank account every month. So when you look back at what the annual salary was coming out of school, and then you look at some of the things you see in social media, you can see how incongruent they really are. This is what you're shooting for, right? You want to be in this side of the equation. You want to plug as many holes as fast as you can and give yourself the opportunity to have the freedom to do whatever you want, including taking a year off and writing a book. Whatever it is that you want to do, without digging a hole financially for yourself, you are opening up so many other opportunities. It will absolutely change your life, believe me.